Alright, what's up guys, it's Zero here, and we are here for my monthly first impressions of the new set. This time we actually have two sets because we also got the Fighters Collection stuff. So today we'll go over both of those sets. We'll start off with the main set and then we'll go into the Fighters Collection stuff afterwards. Just a warning heads up for the Fighters Collection stuff, I have not looked at or read or seen like over half the sets, so I'll just go over the stuff that I know. There might be some like sleeper cards that I like don't pick up, but like I'm sure most of these real strats aren't very good to begin with, so yeah, I'll just go over those, the ones that I do know are good, and the ones that I have seen that I think are like okay. So yeah. So first off, we'll start with shadows from the main set. So I'm just gonna skimp over the generic stuff. So you got the oops, let me actually my mouse here. The Brownwind, I think the name of her is the Stride Fodder. Countercharge PG. Chiron is okay if you're playing the Blaster deck. He is the on play, if you can discard a Cluster deck for a grade 3 Blaster Dark, so the new Blaster Dark Diablo is your search target for this. And then if your grade 3 is a grade 3 or higher Blaster, if you were to sack a card off for cost, he can count as 2, which is pretty nice. You'll notice that there are a few cards that are like this, few being I think this and the starter, that's it. But having build a search sack off one card for the price of 2 is pretty good. So yeah, that's okay card in the Blaster deck. And then starters are actually kind of relevant too, both of them actually. I think his name is David, I think. Let me just actually make sure. Yeah, David. His skill is the GB1. If you were to sack him off for cost, he can count as 2. So just like the Charon, except this works for anything and anti-retire. This starter actually can see play in like every deck. It was just because the only count is 2 retires is pretty nice, and then the Full Bow Brave. The skill is GB1. CB1 put him in the soul to search deck for any blaster. This card, I don't know how. I don't think it'll be very useful in like a like the Diablo Blaster kind of deck, but I think the starter has potential in something like Revengers because this basically is a Charon. It is a Claudus now, or what Claudus used to be. GB1 locked is pretty slow, but CB1 putting a soul to search for any blaster is pretty good because this one's not grade restricted. It also has anti-retired, so it can actually live that long, which is pretty nice. So I think this thing has. I think both these stars are actually pretty good. I think both of them could be played in Revengers. Right now I'm trying out this one, but I can definitely see someone wanting to play the full bow Brave if they wanted to. So yeah, I think that's for grade 1s. Grade 2s, we have the Mucka, the Mucka GB1 when boosted. When this unit attacks a Vanguard and if she gets boosted, you can CB1 in the color deck for any grade 1. This thing can be used as a play extender, or you can use it to dig it for pieces. It's an okay card. I don't think it's particularly amazing, but it's playable, serviceable. Some decks play it, some decks don't. Revengers probably don't play it. The other decks probably do play because your grade 2s are not that good outside if you're not playing Revengers. So this Maka probably will see play in most decks, so it's pretty nice to just have a play set of it. So yeah, and that's it for grade 2s because all these other grade 2s suck. I guess this card is okay, but it's GB1 locked in the main, so it's not that bad, I guess. But the fact that it's GB1 locked just makes it so you can use it on turn 2 like you do with the main. And the 2k power makes no difference because 7k and 5k both cannot hit into intercept solo, so she still needs a booster. So this card is a worse than main in almost every way. So yeah, not very good. I guess it's of note, I guess, because everything else just kind of sucks. Yeah, and then grade 3s. We got Mr. Blaster Dark Diablo. The skill is GB2. If you're striding a G unit with Blaster in name, all your cards in hand get +3 grades, so anything can be stride fodder. And when you specifically stride Phantom Blaster or Diablo, you can on stride retire one for free, which is pretty cool, and on play +3k. So the usual like the stride bear, stride bonus skills that kill where you already get +3k, which is cool, I guess. Next up, we got Break Ride PBD. He was a GR IRL, and this is only triple rare as he should be because he is nowhere near GR levels of good. But his skill is Limit Break 4, Break Ride. You can Soul Blast 3, and your Vanguard gets 10k. And the skill, let me actually pull this and make sure I get this right because I do not remember the exact wording on this card. Give me 1 second. I cannot actually read these cards. Okay, when this unit attacks a Vanguard, you can retire 3. You can draw 2, countercharge 3, and give your Vanguard Glory effect. Your opponent has to discard a grade 3 to guards, which is the skill is okay. And oh yeah, one more skill. On play, sack a rear off to search deck for any blaster, and then it gets +3k. So Usual stuff is that you can also search a blaster, meaning you can search either this dude, or you can search yeah, mainly this dude. Actually, no, never mind. The other thing was you search PBO, which I think is the better break ride target for this deck. So search those two. If you protect this in as your one-of card in Revengers, you can search a Blaster Dark Revenger with it, which is pretty okay. So pretty okay card, I think. I think this card's actually pretty okay. Not terrible, not amazing, but definitely playable in some decks. So yeah, pretty okay card. And finally, the other grade 3 boss, Claret Sword. I think this is the most underwhelming card, but I'll go over it anyways. GB2, stack 2 rears, plus a K plus a crit. Shadows are really good at generating free pluses. I bet those pluses aren't very good, so that's why you can use them off a stack fodder. So okay GB2, and then on stride you can CB1 to first off on stride CB1 to put any number of grade 1s from any number of non-sentinel grade 1s from your drop zone back to your deck, and then call any grade 1, get that, and get the unit plus 2k, and then the usual on ride plus 3k. So the reason why the stride bonus skill actually matters is that it prevents deck out, because what I have been calling shadows right now, I've been calling this deck out turbo. So this thing being able to recycle your grade 1s, granted you can recycle PGs, which kind of sucks, but this deck being able to recycle grade 1s is pretty nice. So that skill in itself, helping you not deck out, is actually enough to warrant playing it as like a one-of in every deck, just because if you need to not deck out and you have this in your hand, you can ride it, stride, and then put like grade 1s back to your deck, and it's pretty cool. Also, because it is searchable with the stride fodder, so any deck can just play the stride fodder and play one Claret to not get themselves grade stuck, which is pretty cool. Grade zeros on. At the moment, I don't think this the Raven's very good, but I think eventually this card will be okay. Skill is GB1, rest itself, put itself back into the deck, and call the top 2 cards of your deck as rest, and those units kill themselves off at the end of the turn, which is okay. Right now, I don't really see much of a use for this card, but I think later down the line, this card could be pretty playable, just not now. So it's only a rare, so it's not something hard to get, but just something to keep in mind for later. And finally, the strides. So first off, we have the Phantom Blaster Diablo. His skill is very much nerfed from his TCG counterpart, but his skill is GB2, once per turn, CB1, G Persona Flip, to give himself 10k and a crit, very fitting considering he has Phantom Blaster Overlord's stride form, very fitting that he has 10k and a crit. But he gets the skill, he gets that, and he gets the skill when this unit attacks a Vanguard, sack 3 rears off, and if your opponent has 1 or less rears, they cannot PG unless they discard grade 3, so glory effect. If they have 2 or more, you can choose 2 rears to retire off instead. So very, very much nerfed from a TCG counterpart. This card would have been absolutely busted if it was kept the same, but this card itself is still okay. Glory Restrict is still an okay effect, but if you compare to the TCG, this card is for lack of better terms, dog shit. But in Zero, even though it got nerfed, it's still playable, not amazing, not terrible. But yeah, if you don't know what the TCG counterpart skill was, if your opponent retires 2 rears, and if they could not retire, if 2 rears are not retired, they cannot guard, period, from their hand at least. So would have been pretty good in Zero, because with how that's worded, if they can't retire because of anti-retire or resist, they still can't guard. So yeah, very much needed nerf. Shadows would have absolutely been tier 0 if this thing came out on nerf. So it's nice that the game studio at least has the brain to not bring in a unnerfed tier 0 card. So playable, but not broken by any means. The other GR Stride is the Aura Geyser. So his skill is on attack to Vanguard, CB1, G Persona Flip, sack off 2 rears, check the top 2 cards of your deck, reveal them, and add them to your hand, and this unit gets plus 5k per grade 1 shown. So what this card basically reads is you can cycle 2 cards in your hand that you don't want to draw 2 cards basically. That's basically just it basically reads as a glorified filter, but like this card's actually pretty good because it turns like the trash in your hand or the trash on your board into 2 new cards in hand. Granted, they could be 2 triggers, but it's whatever, right? They're triggers, they can be stride fodder. But yeah, I think this card's actually really good. Later on, Aura Geyser Doomed flips this card as cost, so if you want to play Shadow, you'll probably need this card. you will need this card in the future. This dude is much better than this because it can retire stuff. So you intend to play Shadows in any way, you will probably need this card. Really good for Stride, I'll say. Really good for Stride, and really good card. I think this card is definitely the better of the two GR Strides. So yeah. And finally, the other triple R stride, Grim Recruiter. His skill is on hit the Vanguard, call Grey One from deck. Simple, some Grey One or lower. Simple, but okay skill. Nice sandbag skill. It's okay. It's an okay card. You will play like two or so of it in most decks because your G Zone will probably be something like 4 Aura Geysers, 2 Diablos, 2 of this dude, or like maybe even 0 of this dude. You play 4 of the other one cards, but it's an okay stride. So yeah. That's it for gold. Next up is, or that's it for shadows. Next up is gold. I'd say I have done 0 testing with this. I don't have, as you can see, I don't have. Whoops, let me do that. I do not have any of the G Zone pretty much. So this is a grain of salt. This is literally just me going over the cards as my thoughts on them. I don't even own Spear Cross, but yeah, just me going over thoughts on them with 0 testing involved. I don't think the starter is that good. Countercharge PG, Stride Fodder. That's it. Grade 2, the Pyrewall is pretty good though. His skill is GB1. When his unit attacks a Vanguard, if he's boosted, CB1, check top 3, call a card from among them. So this is your Twin Sword clone for this clan. It's your way to end game, which is pretty nice. Most decks will probably play this, so it's pretty good. Next up, I think this card's okay. I need to pull this card. I do not remember what this card does at all. But I'm pretty sure this card's okay. Then I do see most people playing this card, so... yes, GB1 on place if your Vanguard is a grade 3 or higher Gurguit. Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, checked out 3, call a card, and that unit gets plus 2k. It's an okay card. This is basically like, this is like an Aglavale to a degree, but the issue with this card is that it uses Soul, and since Gurguit's GB2, which is one of the really good things about it, also needs Soul, you're conflicting Soul there, so you'll need some way to Soul Charge to actually maintain all this cost. But this card itself is actually pretty okay. It's basically just a an Aglavale. That you can't use on turn 2, but still pretty good because free call is never a bad thing, right? Cheap +1 still a cheap +1. And grade 3, 2 cards, honestly. First up is the Gurgut. This is the rank reward. His skill is over this usual plus 3k on ride. On stride, CB1, check that 4, call 1, that unit gets plus 2k. And the thing that makes this card really cool is its GB2. At the end of your turn, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, check top 4 cards of your deck, mill one of them, and if you mill the trigger, he gets... Actually, no, let me rephrase that. So, end of turn, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, check out 4, mill a card, he gets plus 5k. If you mill the trigger, additional plus 5k. So, if you mill a trigger with a skill, he gets plus 10k power in opponent's turn, so 21k base, pretty hard to hit into. So, very defensive card, and the free calls are never bad on stride as well. So, I actually think Gurgut is actually pretty good. Just the problem is the strides aren't very good, but Gurgut itself, I think, is actually a really good card. I think this card is actually pretty good. The fact that it costs a soul and a counter blast is kind of heavy, but for a skill like this, I think the cost is balanced, but you do need to manage your costs to be able to use this every turn. So something like this you'd probably put something like Saphir in your deck, the 8k that's when called from deck, Soul Charge Counter Charge 1, because that pays for one whole Gurgut cost, which is pretty nice. So yeah, and I think this card's actually pretty good. And this double rare is okay too, I think. The Danvalo GB1 on hit checked out 4 on hit CB1 checked out 4, call a card to board. It's okay. It's playable. I don't know. I don't think I'd play it, but it's like a playable budget option, I guess. That's it for grade 3s. Nothing else is relevant. And then triggers. I don't know what these cards do, but they're grade 0s. I don't know fandom, so they're probably not very good. And then finally the strides. Spear Cross is the first GR. GB2 on place CB2 Persona Flip check top 5 to call a card, and in addition you can call a card from among them for each face-up card in your G zone. So by the time you do this, I think this is a call 3, I think. Yeah, because if you need GB2, could be call 4 as well, because this thing is a flip us first stride. So by that you could technically have 3 face-up cards in your G zone. Wait, oh, I can't math. 3 cards. Yeah, it could be a call 3 because this face-up first stride. Flip a second card, and this flips another card that's 3 cards. So this thing could be a call 3, but I think this card's kind of too heavy on cost. I don't think this card's actually that good. I think you play this card at most as a 2-of. You might not even play this card at all, to be honest. But it's okay, I guess. Not amazing. And next up, we got the Campbell. His skill is on hit, check out 5, call a card, and then you get plus 2k. So this is your Blade of this clan. I think this card is pretty good way to push damage. So this card you definitely want a few copies of. Well, 2 to 3, probably 2 is probably enough. 3 is probably better because I don't think you play this card, so it's okay. Pretty good card, I think. And finally, I think this card is pretty good. The Rising Shine Dragon. What his skill is on hit, CB1, Persona Flip. Don't worry, this is a triple rare, so this card's actually easy to get. Persona Flip, check top 3, call 2 cards from among them. Being forced to call 2 off 3 is honestly pretty just because you could be forced to call stuff you don't want to call, but the reason this card is so good is because he flips on first stride, meaning that on first stride you enable Gurgurt's GB2, which is the reason why I think this card is good. So pretty nice. And that's cool. That's only a triple rare too, so I think that's the best thing about it. It's a cheap card that you will be playing multiples of. So I think this card is actually really good. So definitely, this is probably like one of the major pickups of this clan. I think honestly, 2 Campbells for this dude and 2 of the FC double stride is honestly enough to play this deck. And so the deck is actually pretty budget too. So overall, okay. It's pretty okay and pretty budget too. So that's always a good thing. And finally, the last thing from this set is the Link Jokers, the Messiahs. So we will go over everything. Starter, actually kind of relevant. You do play it. It's the Neon Messiah GB1. When this thing gets unlocked, you can put in a Soul Search deck for a grade 3 Messiah, meaning you search Alter Ego. So basically, search a Stride Fodder, which is okay. Search a Stride Fodder, never a bad thing, right? Does rip a trigger every deck, but what can you do? Gets your Stride Fodder, just pretty good, and it's anti retire, so it doesn't die to stuff. And grade 1s, Countercharge BG, Stride Fodder, and this is the Awakening Messiah. Remember, I think is the name of the card, or is this Sacrifice Messiah? I don't remember the name of these Messiah cards, but its skill is GB1. When your other unit is locked, and your grade 3 is a grade 3 or higher Messiah, you can lock itself, countercharge 1, and give something else plus 3k. So it self-locks itself in the back row, which is pretty okay, and then countercharge 1 is never bad, and giving something else power is also never bad. So pretty good card, and you do play this deck. There's definitely a 4 in the Link Joker deck, so in the Messiah deck. So yeah. Speaking of 4-ups, the other 4-up that you're playing without a doubt in the deck is the Arrestor Messiah. This is basically your only way to start combos, or easy way to start combos. There's probably convoluted ways I can't think of to start combos in this deck, but this is by far the easiest and best thing to start combos. And this is something, and if I was allowed to, I'd play 13 of this in my grade 2 slots if I could. So that's just how good this card is. But its skill is GB1 on place. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or greater Messiah, it gets 2k, and it gets the following ability until end of turn. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked a Vanguard, lock itself to choose one of either player's back row and lock it. So you can either lock your own back row so that when you unlock your own cards that do place, you get to reset your boosters, or you could lock one of their back row and just get a free back row lock off it. So either a play extender for you, or just a free back row lock for the opponent. So very good card, very, very good. You are maxing this card guaranteed. A card that I don't think is so good, that kind of sees play and would be and is not terrible, is the Awakening Messiah or the Arousal Messiah. The skill is when this unit is unlocked during your turn, stand one of your other rears and get that unit plus 2k in return. The effect itself is honestly not bad. The biggest issue with this card is that it needs to stay on the board to do anything, because your only real way to lock it is, you have 2 ways to lock with this card pretty much. You have I guess 3. The Lady Battle of Gravity Well, but this card's not, I don't think this card's very good, so I wouldn't play it. But if you really want to go in on Arousal, the Awakening Messiah, you will play this just to make sure this works. But you have the Arrestor, you have this thing, and you have Alter Ego Stride bonus. And the most realistic thing you're going to be locking this thing with is Alter Ego Stride bonus. And the issue with that is this card you need to preemptively put this card down for you to be able to do that, because it's on Stride lock one of your own cards with Alter Ego Stride bonus. So the biggest issue with this card is that it needs to live and stay on the board to get value out of it. And in a meta filled with cards that just retire your stuff, or have a bunch of clans that can't just retire, get rid of your stuff, this card sees maybe 1 use before it gets killed off. So I think that's the biggest issue. This card needs to stay alive for it to do anything. So yeah, not a bad card per se, but just how you have to use it makes it not amazing. So yeah, and a rare that I do actually think is pretty good. It's the Blast Muck of the Thundering Foot, GB1. When it attacks, it can attack anything to unlock one of your locked cards, and then it gets plus 4K. So it's like a solo attacker. It can help you unlock stuff. It can help you unlock stuff as well, which is pretty nice. So I personally do play this card, but you don't have to play or anything. But I think this card is worth mentioning. I think it's pretty good. So yeah, that's it for grade 2s. And for grade 3s, we have one whole card. It'll be the Alter Ego Messiah. So its skill is, once per turn, GB2, when your lock card becomes unlocked during your turn. Or, I think for specifically, it's when a locked card is unlocked during your turn, you can Soul Blast when I draw a card. So draw a card is nice. Only issue with this card is that since it is its own skill and it's not like giving it to the stride, this basically only works when you leave something locked on your board and then unlock at the end of your turn to the draw. So it's actually kind of awkward, but it's there. It comes up every once in a while, but nothing that you can abuse or anything. And its stride bonus skill is CB1. Choose one of both players' rear guards and lock them. Your Vanguard gets 5K, and the card that you locked on your opponent's side of the board is unlocked during their battle phase, meaning they can actually attack with it. So obviously, this would be really fucking good if it was just CB1 lock one on both players' side. We just left it at that, but this is basically their way of saying, here, we'll let you enable a Arrestor Messiah, because that's basically what this is here for. The purpose of this is honestly so that Arrestor isn't a bad card, because then it can actually swing at the Vanguard. So it's that, or how I just treat it as like a gunner-like skill, where you like stun the intercept for a turn, and then so you can go face more. But yeah, it's not bad by any means. Definitely would have been much more broken if it just left it as lock one on both players' side. I just left it at that, but still perfectly serviceable as is. So yeah, and then the usual plus 3K on ride. And finally, the strides. Grade 0, you got the crit. So and I think these are terrible, so don't play these. You got the strides. I think all 3 strides for this clan are actually pretty good. First off is the Triple Stride, the Judgment Messiah. On hit the Vanguard, you can unlock one of your cards, and you lock one of your opponent's back row cards. So it's on hit, has okay effects overall. So okay card, definitely to play like a few copies of it. Next up is the Amnesty Messiah. On attack to Vanguard, CB1, you can unlock as many cards as you want, and he gets 3K per each. And if you unlocked 3 or more cards, he gets a crit as well. So this is like your enabler to like do your multi attacks to like unlock your own stuff during your turn. So pretty good card. Gets a crit too, so you can push damage. And you will need this in the future because there is a card, I think it's like Exaltix Messiah, that flips this card from your G zone up to pay for its cost. So good card now. It will be even better later on. And finally, the other GR is the Big Fucking Crunch Dragon. Obviously, fucking is not its name, right? But it's a Big Crunch Dragon. This card got drastically nerfed from what it was in the TCG, but it's still a playable card. GP2 once per turn, G Persona flip, to choose one of your opponent's front row rear guards and lock everything on that column. So, 2 nerfs. It has to choose front row, meaning you can't go over resist, because otherwise, in the TCG, you could choose anything in that column, so you can choose the back row, so you can lock like a booster that doesn't have resist to get the front row that does have resist locked up. But in this game, you have to choose the front row, meaning you can't lock something that has resist on it. And in the TCG, it Omega locks that column, so it didn't unlock until the end of your opponent's next turn. End of your opponent's following turn, so not that immediate turn. So 2 nerfs, but still, like, it's still a cheap way to just lock a column off, so it's still played and you will still play it. Right now it is actually a 4 of. I just don't have 4, but right now it is 4. But I see the cards dropping off immediately once you get a better stride to play with it. So I'd say for the most players, get 2 and just play with 2 for now, because it probably will get replaced relatively soon. So yeah. But this is also a generic stride, so other clans can also play this. So stuff like or not other archetypes can play this. Like the leaders could play this, Starvaders could play this. So it's not terrible or anything. Definitely not terrible or anything. But and it is really good right now, just it'll probably drop off later, so I don't think it's the best investment overall. So that's it for all the cards from the main set. We'll go over the Fighters Collection stuff now. So I'll go over all the GRs and all the triple that I know are good. So since we're already here, we'll look at Glendios first, because he just happens to be here. So his skill, the Omega Loop, his skill is for hard cards like Glendios, CB2, G Persona Flip, to activate the following 2 effects at the start of your opponent's next turn. Actually, wait. Let me read this. I'm just reading off the translation right now. But GB2, or actually no, not GB2, CB2, G Persona Flip. To activate 2 effects, your opponent puts a card from the top of their deck on rearguard face down as a lock card for each of your reverse rearguards, and if your damage has 5 or more, you Omega Lock everything. So it's okay, I guess. It's okay, I guess. If your opponent puts a card, it's okay. It's pretty cool for the deck, for the Glendios deck. I think there's like a cool build that you can play where you like use the skill twice, so you need 4 discard to deck your opponent out. So because you're calling 5 cards off the top of your deck every turn, so that's 10 cards out of the deck, which is okay, I guess. Cool meme. I don't think it's particularly good, but it's there, I guess. And I don't think the double is very good, so we'll just skip over that. Next off, the other GR is the Tsukuyomi Stride. Its skill is once per turn, if your heart card is a Tsukuyomi, it's G Persona Flip. Wow, another G Persona Flip. What a surprise, right? And as cost, put a Tsukuyomi from your hand into your soul to check top 5 and add 2 to hand and put the rest at the bottom. So pretty nice, plays well the Souk game plan. You will play this in Souk without a doubt. So yeah, pretty good card for the deck, pretty good for what it is, and you definitely will play it in that deck. So yeah. Next up, the other GR is Mithril Ezel, right? Mithril Ezel. So once per turn. Once per turn, if your heart is an Ezel, CB1 G Persona Flip, unlock everything. Check top 5, call 1 card from among them, and both this and that unit get the power of the card you called. So it's okay, I guess. I think this card is just bad scissors, to be honest. It's bad scissors because it doesn't get a crit. Scissors gets a crit, does the same thing as well, it also unlocks as well. So overall, I think this card is overall worse than scissors. The card requires our Ezel Heart, so you can't splash this in other decks, but it's a playable card, I guess. It's not terrible, not amazing. Could be better, could be worse. Could actually be a lot better, actually. And I don't see how it could get worse, actually. So, it's playable at best. And finally, the Kagero Stride is the Ace, Dragonic Lord, the Ace. GB2 once per turn, CB2, G Persona Flip. It gets -1 drive in the following skill. Once per turn, at the end of all the attack, you can discard 2 cards. One of them having to be an Overlord to stand this unit and gets draw 1 and gets plus 5k. So the best comparison to this card that I can make is the Victoplasma, because it's basically the same thing. CB2, G Persona Flip. It gets negative drive and it restands. Only difference is this card this card gets power, but its discard cost has to include at least 1 Overlord, which is kind of awkward. Not every deck can play this just because of this skill. Blade Master can play this, but will have trouble discarding for cost sometimes if you're not playing, because at most you'll have like 5 Overlords in your deck. But the biggest issue with playing this something like Blade Master is that it eats up too much slots in your G zone. So yeah, pretty good in Overlord dedicated list, but in everything else, this card is very skippable. So yeah, okay card, not amazing, not terrible. And unless I'm forgetting something, actually no, it's 2, right? Two GRs, one more. First off is the Epoch Maker, so its skill is on hit to Vanguard. Bind one of your rears to call a grade 3 from your deck, and then at the end of your turn, you put the grade 3 back to the bottom of your deck, and you call the card that you bind it for cost. So on hit multi attack, which is pretty cool. That's something that deck just did not have before, so pretty nice. And then since you call the thing you bind it back, you bind it intercept, you get to keep that intercept, which is good. So good card for the deck. I think it's very nice. One of at best. I would not play this more than 1 copy. So it's there. It's usable, nice niche, but nothing amazing. Alright, and the final GR is the Maelstrom. I think this card is not very good, to be perfectly honest, but it is a GR. But his skill is, let me actually pull this up, I do not actually remember. When this unit attacks Vanguard, if it's the 4th battle of more of that turn, if your heart is a Maelstrom, CB1, flip anything. Don't let that deceive you though. This card basically needs you to have 4 copies of this card to get max value out of it, because we'll read the rest of the skill. Draw a card, and for each face-up copy of this card in your G-Zone, you get to retire a card. And then, in addition, if your soul has a Maelstrom, this unit gets a crit. So, even though this thing can flip anything, this thing needs multiple copies of itself face-up in the G-Zone to do anything. So, assuming you have 4 of this card, on first stride, you get to retire 1. On second stride, you get to retire 3. So, or assuming you have a full playset, right? This card is assuming you flip itself twice, so it's honestly okay. But like the fact that you need 4 of it to get max value of it is pretty low pull that wallet out. So yeah, it's okay for what it is, but it's not like amazing or anything. And finally, notable triple rare strides that I can think of off my head. I actually think the best one is the Metalborg stride. This is the card I've been having the most success with. Out of like these random strides, its skill is when it attacks the Vanguard, if your heart is a Metalborg, you can CB2, and he gets the following 2 skills. He gets the Glory Guard restrict, your opponent can't PG unless they have discard grade 3 to go with it, and then the others, and then it also gets a on hit. Oh, he gets a crit as well, so that's why I think it's good. It's Glory skill, and he gets a crit, and it also gets on hit. Draw 1 card per heart you have. What that means is, if you're in Legion, this thing is an on hit draw 2. So you either on hit draw 2 or you shoot them with Glory, which is pretty good. So this card actually does make this deck much better, and I think this card by itself puts Metalborgs in contention for like a playable deck right now. So that just goes to show how good this deck is. Like this one card brought Metalborgs up from like unplayable dog shit to actual playable deck. So pretty nice. Next up is the Mega Colony Stride, the Machining Destroyer, I think is the name. Once per turn, if your Vanguard is a machining, if your heart is machining, you can CB2 to paralyze one of your opponent's rear guards. And then if you have 4 or more machining rears and your opponent, all of their rears are rested, you can also paralyze their Vanguard. So that's pretty good. But no like claws where forcing this card to also rewrite. But CB2 paralyzed Vanguard, not bad. It's pretty good stride. The only issue with this card is that if your opponent just slaps like a resist intercept in the back, you can't paralyze their Vanguard. Or if they're playing something like Messiah, they can unlock their stuff as stand and just not boost with like up to that Vanguard booster or something. So, or just I guess the Vanguard booster be unlocked as stand. So, ways to play around it, but when your opponent can't play around it or they're too dumb to play around it, this card's pretty good. You remember if there's any other notable triple rare strides? The Mithril Saver, whatever this thing is, it's like MLP support. So this thing's skill is if your heart is a blaster, you persona flip to have 3 of your gets plus 5k, and in addition, if your soul is 200 blaster, gets a crit. So this thing just becomes a bigger MLB basically for the on stride. So pretty okay card, not amazing, not terrible. MLB as itself as a deck is still pretty whatever, but this stride definitely makes it better. So yeah. I think that's it for notable strides that I can think of. I'm sure there are other ones that are okay, but these are the only ones that I can think of that are like really oh yeah, Nectaria is okay too. We'll ignore the prism part of the skill because lol, who's playing prisms? But the dual part of its skill is both these skills are tied to on hit to Vanguard, but the prism skill is irrelevant because you're not playing prisms. But the dual skill is pretty relevant because its skill is on hit. To bounce a card and add a card from deck, so the name is it, to your hand. So this is basically a Roan on stride. And what it checks for here is your heart's names, because all the prisms are also duos, I think, or for at least something like that. So we'll go over the entire skill, I guess. The prism skill is the prism part of the skill is on hit. You can bounce up your hand and call it back down. If it's also your Vanguard's heart's also a duo, you can do the Roan dupe skill. So we care about the dual part of the skill, so just having a Roan on hit is pretty good because sometimes, no matter what deck you're playing, sometimes Somni is just super awkward to use because you just don't have 2 boosters, so you can go like rear to rear, and like your other lane needs the booster first to actually hit the Vanguard. So you're out of boosters here, so that's when you use something like Nectaria to just dupe a card instead, which is pretty good, I'd say. So yeah, pretty good card, I think. Actually, I think it's pretty useful in the deck. And I think there was one more that I want to look at, but the Spikes one is okay, but I haven't gone to play around this, so I don't know how good it actually is, so I won't say anything about that. The Brawler Stride seems okay, but I think it's just a little slow because you need to Legion first to do it. You need to Legion first to actually get full value out of it. The thing with the Metalborg Stride is that even though you have to Legion first to do its skill, you're either Legion you go into, whether it be Dryon or Sinbuster, is actually doing something on that Legion turn, so it's fine. It's fine. You're allowed to take that 1 turn off before you stride. But the issue with the Knuckle Stride is that you either play vanilla for a turn, or you on your Legion turn, or you go like -1 to do the Knuckle Buster skill. Or alternatively, you can play Knuckle Dragon as your card instead, which is like okay, I guess. But yeah, it's okay. This card is okay. CB1, Soul Blast 1 to G Persona Flip. I think I'm pretty sure there's a G Persona Flip. Let me just make sure. No, it flips anything, and then it gets 5k per copy of itself in the G zone, but this thing's swinging first anyway, so who cares about the power? And then it gets the following ability, so it attacks all of your units in the front row, and if you have 2 hearts, it also attacks the back row. So if you're in Legion while you shred this thing, it punches the entire board, which is like, okay, I guess. It's okay, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay, but the fact that Knuckle Buster got nerfed, and Knuckle Dragon that's on restriction list with Phoenix makes it kind of awkward to try this, so it's playable, it's okay, but it's not amazing. And I think that is it. This is much longer than usual, but there were 2 sets to go over, so that was to be expected. So, that's it for me for this video. Please let me know if you think there are other strides that are relevant that I didn't go over, because there are like 20 some odd clans, right? And I didn't go over all the strides from the Far Collection, so if there's any stride that you think I missed that's like really good, please let me know down below in the comments. Like and subscribe, all the good stuff, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out. I forgot to do this in the initial recording, but my overall thoughts on the set is that gold. I'm not about golds. I think golds are probably okay. I'm not gonna play them at all, nor do I see them much on ladder. So I'm sure Gurgurt is an okay. I'm sure Gurgurt's an okay deck. Shadows are still play Revengers. Revengers with G is pretty good, and Messiah is playable. As for the Fighters Collection, nothing super stands out. Nothing screams tier 1 to me or anything like that. So it gives a bunch of clans. It gives a bunch of the bad clans that didn't get support yet, like a playable stride. So overall not bad. You shouldn't gem on Fighters Collection though. That set is a big scam. Set 3 is also probably bait, to be honest. If you're just looking for like an immediate play. So yeah, those are my thoughts. Thanks for watching again. Bye bye.